Alright, so there's a very marked skill gap between the best players and a lot of other players, so let's go into why that is specifically. First, if you're trying to get better with infantry tactics, which is going to help you get better overall, we're going to look at maybe starting to peek corners and slowly clear the room instead of running in. I see a lot of new players do that, and that's the first thing I'd like to mention. It also makes it so that 1v1 engagements don't suddenly become 2v1 engagements because you're showing too much of your body because you've run in through the door. Ideally as well, I would love to see you guys using partial cover if you can. Good examples of this are small rails, and I guess door frames also are good examples of partial cover. Now in situations where you can't get partial cover, you want to be trying to strafe left and right so you're more difficult to hit. When you're not in cover, moving straight forwards or straight backwards is going to get you killed most frequently, because to the enemy it's as if you stand still. Next, the most important infantry tip I can give is probably about sprinting. From watching the great players like the one in this video, you'll notice a lot of the time they're running around and they very rarely slow down, and this isn't by accident. You need to keep up a good pace so that you only ever have to worry about the people in front of you. If you're constantly having to move slow, it's likely that people will catch up with you and catch you in a bad position. The other reason that sprinting is extremely important is that it retains peaker advantage. This is because unlike in CSGO, where it's server side and so it's fair for both sides, instead with this game it's client side, which means that there's basically a delay and the one that peaks fast will always have a huge advantage. You can kind of think of it as a ghost always following you around, and so if you try to stay ahead of your ghost and always try to find the other person's ghost before they find yours, you kind of have a small advantage, if that makes sense. In point hold situations, you can also try to abuse peeker's advantage by regularly peeking the position you're holding. This is easier said than done, but it's definitely something that you can do if there aren't too many people in the room. And again, when you are peeking, ideally you do it by sprinting because it means that there's more of a ghost behind you, if that makes sense. Again, great players are also trying to sprint constantly because they're trying to avoid getting shot in the back. And it's really important not to forget that. It again means that you're not also getting shot from one side and then also getting shot from another side. So that therefore isn't going to be as much latency between when you have to aim between the two people. If they're both together, because you only have to worry about one door because that's the one you're running towards, it makes things a lot easier. It should go without saying as well that sprinting makes you harder to hit, and therefore it's harder to be initiated on and lasered down without having a chance to respond. So if you are sprinting around and moving in a way where you're always strafing left or right, it essentially means that you always have the option to disengage the enemy, recharge your shields, then engage in a level playing field where they don't have the jump on you. Next, you want to be more aware of how you're approaching the opposition. If there are areas in which instead of pushing one door where everyone else is, you could push the roof or push a different door, that's ideally what you want to be doing. If you are going to be doing this, Sensor Shield actually is pretty strong because then you can flank without getting killed. And if you are going to be coming from an area which someone may not expect, you can also, if you want to, use Avoidance. It's not super meta, but it's something you could consider if you are going to be flanking the enemy a lot. I would also love to see you guys using your minimap a lot more. I see a lot of people not actually use their minimap awareness that much. I've tested this in different fights where I'll sit in a building, I'll even shoot my gun intentionally just to see how many people run towards me, and for the most part it's always the good players, and it's like, you know, maybe 2 or 3% of players are looking at the minimap a lot of the time in big fights. They're just not paying attention. So if you guys could try to start paying attention to your minimap, it'll help you out so much. A lot of the really good players are using this, and it does give them like a 5th sense or a 6th sense of what everyone else is doing and how to respond accordingly to each situation. Again, because they have that situational awareness minute by minute by looking at the minimap. I will say that if you are going to have this really good map awareness and you want to abuse it to the most degree, again, Sensor Shield actually, in my opinion, is pretty underrated because it means that, again, you can flank the enemy, you don't have to worry about having super good aim, and you can still do pretty good. This is especially in combination with Valkyries. If you have the ASP discount and the air discount, you can essentially pull unlimited air and get to anywhere on the map and flank the opposition constantly. And even if you have bad aim, like I historically have had, then you can still get 2 KD with relative ease. So it's something that you may want to consider. Now, to be honest, silencers are pretty bad, so I wouldn't use them even if you are trying to be somewhat stealthy. You can use them on SMGs to an extent, it's just for heavy assault you don't really want to be using the silencer. Now, as I've already alluded to, sometimes you will need to disengage, and this may be because it's a 2v1 or a 3v1 situation, or it may be because you're out of ammo. Regardless, you always want to be disengaging by sprinting away. You never want to just be holding down A or D because it's too slow. So say someone catches you at a door frame, you want to sprint away through the door frame out of vision instead of just holding down A in order to go through the door frame, because you will get killed doing that because again it's too slow. If you do this correctly, it will regularly save you and it will make you a lot more survivable, which is one of the best ways that you can improve as an infantry player. Also, when retreating, if you're not next to a door frame, you want to be erratically moving left and right so that it makes the enemy hard to hit you, and it also kind of abuses the client side mechanics a little bit with the ghosting effect and stuff, so it will help you if you do again erratically move left and right while sprinting away. It also goes without saying that you should be using medkit when you're doing this, and when you are using the medkit, a lot of the time you want to be jumping at the same time in order to negate the movement speed debuff you get from using a medkit. You can also use the adrenaline shield whilst you're jumping at the same time as well, which is actually why, even though Nano Weave was nerfed and resist shield in theory could be considered very slightly meta, in reality it slows you down too much by using resist shield constantly. But if you have adrenaline shield, you can quickly get all the use out of it whilst you're jumping by someone's trying to shoot at you, and then you can continue to run. So super strong to use. I will also say in the description I have a full playlist of other videos which should help you get better. This is only one part. There's also stuff like loadouts and aim which are going to be needed in order for you to get good, and also having a high frame rate is important. And again, all of that stuff to make you get from 0 to 100 in terms of skill is in the description playlist, so go check it out. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed, follow, and also if you want to join our Discord, play other games with us, or join Camp Cobalt Vanu, you can, so feel free to do that. Have a great day guys, GG.